Welcome to Charlie Wyman.
Fear, right? When I was invited to come and do this talk and was told I was going to follow David, can you imagine how I felt? Oh my God. I'm here today to talk about the moment you've just set that massive goal and then those little niggly thoughts start to creep in. You know, what if I fail? What if I can't do this? The sort of thoughts that can leave you paralyzed, the sort of thoughts that create the 97% that don't achieve those goals. So David's talked about setting goals. I want to talk and show you three actionable tactics that you can take away to stop you getting stuck and to stop fear taking over. Sound good? Okay, I know it's after lunch, but come on, sound good? Thank you. Okay, so first little test we're going to do. We're going to use the stage as a timeline. Okay, so I want you to put your hand up at the point when you think those feelings, so you've set your goal. How long is it going to take you for those feelings and those thoughts to set in, to start saying, maybe I can't do this. I might fail. What if I lose everything? You know, those feelings that can really start, unraveling your mind and things. So I want you to put your hand up at the point where those feelings start to creep in. Keep your hand up. I'll try and keep it quite quick. Is anybody brave enough to admit that, moments after you set a big goal, those feelings start to come in? Thank you. Yeah. Keep your hands up. What about the day after? Because let's face it, a lot of us set goals and things like that when we go to an event, we go to a conference, and that we're feeling all inspired, all energized, and that we're ready to go. But then the day after, that motivation dies down. Okay, a few more people. Right, what about a week later? Yeah, everybody keep your hands up so you get the room. Week later? Month later? Year later? Yeah? Some goals are short-term goals. Some massive goals take a lot longer. And the thing that differentiates those people that achieve amazing things and those people that don't, it's not about getting rid of fear. It's about understanding what's going on and responding to it in a way that helps you keep moving forwards. Okay? So the three things that I'm going to share with you today, three actionable things, I call them the 3R's to help you get off your arse when you start to feel paralyzed. Sound good? Okay. Oh, there we go. The first one, rethink the problem, okay? Has anybody ever been told that overthinking is a bad thing? Yeah? Who here is an overthinker? Okay, cool. You're my people. This is good, right? I was always told that overthinking is a bad thing. And obviously, I started to overthink this statement. And then I realized, actually, overthinking is one of my superpowers. Overthinking is one of the things that's helped me achieve some really cool things in my career. So what is the difference? So here's my theory. Overthinking, when the scenarios that you're thinking about are negative, that leads to anxiety. That leads to feeling stuck. Nobody wants to feel like that, right? Whereas if you overthink something, and then change it to rethinking positive scenarios, that is where you create opportunity. That is where you create momentum. For example, you remember when David was talking about the impact that people can have on you achieving your goals? If you start spending more time, you interview high achievers, you start to feel like a high achiever, you start to do the things that high achievers do. People play a massive role in your success. Same as environment. Your environment plays a massive role in your success. And there's a reason why people say your environment dictates your success. So just after COVID, I don't think I was the only person that had a tough time during COVID. Lockdown ended. I had an 18-month-old baby. I had a business. And I had just left my partner. So I was feeling quite low. And I also, the 100% of my business was now online. So I spent my days in my office talking to virtual people on a computer screen. So I decided, and I needed to rethink the situation. Something needed to change because I found that I was sitting on my arse more times than I could count. I really struggled to kind of build that momentum and keep going again. So I decided to rent an office in the city of Nottingham. It was about a 20-minute commute each day, and I changed my environment. My family don't think like I do. So they couldn't believe that I would spend £500 a month on an office. They couldn't believe that I would spend an extra 20 to 40 minutes a day commuting into the city, plus having to pay for parking. I saw it as an opportunity. And actually, that office space ended up being a marketing expense than anything else. Because my first day, I made friends with the guy that had the office next door. He turned into a client. And then I made friends with other people that had offices in that building as well. And then I started to get more and more referrals. I was invited to speak at events. You know, positive thinking, rethinking creates opportunity. You know, if you've got a sales deal that you're working towards and it's not quite going as well as you want it to, sometimes change your environment, go for a walk. For me, I'm a hiker. I just go out into the hills. I take my problems to the hills, I rethink about them, and then I come back down again with a solution. Don't settle when things don't work, because sitting down doesn't help anybody. The next R is reframe those negative thoughts. Reframing, it's all about putting a positive perspective on a negative thought. Okay? So in 2006, I set up a business. Didn't really know what I was doing, but I thought, why not? Let's just go for it. I started importing olive oil and Sardinian-fried foods into the UK. So my very first day of trading, I rocked up to my market stall, and I put out the tablecloth. I arranged all my products. Anybody guess how much I sold on the end of that first day? Anyone? Sweet naff all. Turns out, trying to sell bottles of olive oil for £9 a bottle in West Yorkshire is not a very good idea, especially if you're trying to sell it based on the excitement of the low acidity percentage. I studied engineering, so that was fun for me, but I learned a very, very good lesson that day. For me, reframing, it's all about understanding that actually, yes, fear of failure is a present thing. I fear failure all the time. But how can I manage that? Is that failure is only failure if you don't learn anything from the situation. So I thought, right, I've got to go again the next day. What could I learn from this situation? What could happen? So I started thinking. And then I went back the next day and I sold out. Why? Because I realized that the woman across the way that was selling chutney, she actually had like little taster pots of chutney, and she let people try it before they could buy. I also realized that acidity percentages don't excite a lot of people, but the story about where the product comes from does. So reframe negative thinking, put a positive perspective on it, and start to reframe it. I can talk to you about this for ages. You know, it's like in sales. What if they say no? Oh, well, what if they say yes? Or, oh, what if no means no, not yet? Okay? Reframe everything, because that is where you're going to get more and more opportunity. I'm going to do a little dance. There we go. The third R. Retrain your brain to be able to embed the skills that you learn, to rethink, to reframe, and also to keep building momentum and moving forwards. Managing fear, it's not easy. If it was easy, those 97% would be achieving their goals alongside the 3%. We've got to put the effort in, not just to learn the skills to do the thing that we need to do. We've got to learn the skills to be able to push past those fears and those judgments and everything else that comes in with it. Why do you think that more people are afraid of public speaking than they are of drowning? Yeah? It's because most people learn how to swim when they're children. Who here learned how to swim as a child? Yeah? Who here learned how to speak in front of large audiences as a child? A couple of people. Okay. Why aren't you up here? Yeah, we're not taught the skills as children. But also, at the same time, these fears are completely normal, because one of our basic human needs is to belong, to be accepted. And public speaking, I'm not going to lie, the fears of judgment, the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, they're all very present. But that doesn't mean that we can't learn the skills to be able to manage these fears. Okay? So I'm going to give you some ideas around how to do that. The first one is coaching and mentoring. So David touched on that a little bit during his session. Has anybody here got a coach or worked with a coach? Few people. Coaching is one of the best investments you can ever make. So if you have some money to be able to invest in yourself, invest in a coach. If you don't have investment for a coach on a one-to-one basis, you can go for group coaching. And I'll give you an example of how coaching worked, because I used to have a coaching business quite a few years ago. And I also had my own coach because, when you're doing it, it was just me, myself, and I tended to get in my own way quite a lot of the time. So somebody tried to sell me a coaching certification program where I could pay 15 grand to be able to coach on somebody else's framework with their badge and their marketing and everything else. And I was talking to my coach about how excited I was. I thought, oh, this is going to be great. It's going to help me achieve my goals. It's going to help me double my revenue. This is going to be brilliant. So she started asking me questions around why did I think that was going to help me achieve my goals. Started talking. Then she asked me, well, aren't you doing that already? Aren't you coaching your clients and don't you have your own process for doing it? I said, yeah. So then she said, what if you were to charge the same amount of money for your coaching as these people are trying to get you to charge, and you actually believed in yourself for a change? Wow. I actually wanted to punch her in the face at that point, but chose not to. Went away, thought about it, and doubled my prices, believed in myself, and went and sold a load more coaching programs. It's incredible what you can do when you believe in yourself. But sometimes you just need somebody else to remind you how good you are. It's not ego. It's just normal. And that brings me to my other tip, because not all of us have the money to invest in a coach or even a group coaching program. Has anybody here got the ChatGPT app on your phone? Few people? Not enough? Right, there you go. One action that you can all do after this session, go and download the ChatGPT app for your phone. It is essentially a free coach in your pocket. You can go onto ChatGPT and you can tell it, what are your goals? What are you struggling with? What tends to keep getting in your way? Because what you'll notice over time is that the same things keep getting in your way. And start to understand what's going on. ChatGPT will help you. If you put into ChatGPT, oh, I'm trying to make this big deal and I'm trying to target a certain group of people, but I keep picking up the phone and I'm not getting anywhere, I'm not booking these meetings, but I'm not even getting through the gatekeeper. Can you suggest some ways that I can do that? ChatGPT will give you some ways. You can then go back to ChatGPT and say, I tried that, didn't work. Can you give me some ideas? And then you get a better response from ChatGPT if you actually say why it didn't work or exactly what you did. I use ChatGPT all the time, put in sales emails, how can I make this better, how can I improve it, what can I do? It works really, really well. The other way that we can retrain our brain to be able to cope with these things is masterminding. Anybody part of a masterminding group? No? Few people? So, masterminding, you can do it with your colleagues. You can do it with a couple of friends. So I've been in speaking mastermind groups. I'm currently in a managing director mastermind group, and I've been in various over the years. David's not a fan of statistics, neither am I particularly, but there is one statistic that said 65% of people are much more likely to achieve their goal if they communicate that goal to somebody else, and then that 65% turns into 95% if you're part of an ongoing accountability group or a mastermind group, right? So you're increasing your chances dramatically. Now, I used to run a marketing mastermind group for entrepreneurs and one-person marketing teams. And I had one member who used to come every single month without fail, but he didn't really engage a huge amount. So I got him on the phone. I was like, can I just talk to you about your experience and what's happening? And he said, one of the best things I get from this group is the fact that I don't always know what questions to ask. But by being part of this group, I can experience the questions and the responses of things that I didn't realize I needed to ask. So masterminding is a really, really good way that you can start moving forwards. So just to recap, we've got rethink the problem, okay? The 3R's to helping you get off your arse. It rhymes, there's a reason for that, you're more likely to remember it. Rethink the problem, yeah? Overthinking's not great, it's all about negative things, it's all about anxiety. Don't do that, rethink it. Think about the positive scenarios, all of the good things that can happen. Then reframe any negative scenario into a positive scenario. Just gonna tell you, so I can talk about reframing sales from a laser scanning or an engine management point of view, but I might just alienate everybody in this room, so we'll use coffee as an example. When Nespresso launched the coffee pods, they're like an expert in reframing things. They didn't compare coffee pods to a jar of dried coffee. They compared coffee pods to buying a coffee from Starbucks in the morning. They reframed it as a positive thing. They made it as a luxury item. These are all the sorts of lessons that we can pick up when we start to observe the behavior of other businesses, of other companies, and start to rethink the situation, reframe the situation, and then retrain ourselves to be able to do similar things. But the key thing here is retrain, so you're constantly building momentum. Really important to keep building habits that will set you up for success. And at this point, I want to introduce you to my colleague, George Anderson, who is an expert at forming habits. Over to you, George.